This is JordangeVision. Pull up a seat and kick up your feet. Welcome, guys. How are we doing? It's time for another reaction. We've been through the Monsters Lyle and Erik Menendez story miniseries. We finished watching all that, seen it dramatized on the screen, and now we are going to the Netflix-produced documentary on the Menendez brothers. So we're going to be hearing it straight from the horse's mouth this time. No actors, no anything like that. We're going to see what's going on with them in the present day. Obviously, they're still in prison. They're both in their 50s right now, and they still maintain that they killed their parents because of abuse. Well, we'll definitely be hearing from the two brothers themselves. We'll be hearing from a few other people, I'm sure. Yeah, their prison sentence has been changed a little bit. They did have life without parole before, but I believe now they are eligible for parole. They just need to have a parole hearing, and then maybe potentially they might be able to be released from prison, but that hasn't happened yet. We'll watch the documentary, see what's up with everyone now, and yeah, we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's watch the Menendez brothers documentary produced by Netflix. Here we go. Before I get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget, reacting to art is sharing art. Channels like these benefit everyone from the viewers all the way up to the original creators themselves. Also, reminder, spoilers are likely, so if you haven't seen this documentary yet and would like to, please feel free to click off and take care of that first. I'll be here when you get back. For those of you who are sticking with me, pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is the Menendez brothers Netflix documentary. All right, see what we got. Here we go. August 20th, 1989, D-Day.
Yes, please.
Is it the real 911 call?
What? Who? No.
Yeah. I think Nick Chavez was a better actor than Lyle was. That does not sound like real crying at all.
Sensational Lyle and Erik Menendez, the brothers accused of murdering their rich parents in Beverly Hills.
Over 30 years, I've processed so much of it and still have my heart beating talking about it.
Yeah, it's been a long time, eh? So, fast forward. 34 years later. Alright, we're in 2023 now.
My name is Erik Menendez.
Oh, is this whole thing done over the phone?
My name is Lyle Menendez.
They sound so much older, too.
Old.
Of course, they are older, but yeah. 20 hours of exclusive interviews with the Menendez brothers. Okay, so is it all interviews with them, or they haven't told their story together in 30 years? Okay.
I'm getting
Let's see what we
older.
got.
So much hasn't been told, and I think that not speaking out
I wonder what hasn't been
doesn't
told.
help
Feels like
anyone.
they've told a lot.
This happened because of family secrets.
A lot of those aren't secrets anymore.
For the first time, I feel like it's a conversation where people now can understand and believe.
You know, around the time they were convicted, they had a lot of people, like, not on their side, but I think public opinion has kind of shifted again in the last however long it's been, 34 years.
One of the most... Beverly Hills is vibrant, alive, chic, and sophisticated.
This is a banger of a song.
Bestie.
I like the rock
Beverly
version better,
Hills
though.
was real. People wanted to live in those mansions. People wanted to have that kind of money.
I'd love to live in a
Beverly
mansion
Hills
like that.
as well as
Short a
was
few
really
million, though.
in the
90210 is one of the most exclusive zip codes in the world. It's the place for the rich and famous.
And you know those teenagers on that show.
Murders don't happen in Beverly Hills, and then two boys don't kill their parents in Beverly Hills.
You think somewhere is safe, and then something like that happens. But, you know, that's true of a lot of places. I live in a little town, and, you know, I've seen a couple of murders. Not personally, but...
It's not supposed to happen in Beverly Hills. A movie executive and his wife were brutally slain in their $1 million mansion. There were no clues and no suspects.
Yeah, they didn't know it was them right away.
They heard screams.
They were blaming it on the mafia
shortly
for a
after
few
10
months.
o'clock.
I got a phone call from my brother Brian,
Oh, Kitty's sister.
and he told me Kitty and Jose had been shot. I put the phone down and I started running around the house screaming.
Now that you
Living a
know
long
what has
time with
happened,
memories
do you
like
have
that.
concern?
That Jose Menendez's head had been, the back of his skull had been blown off, and while they were there, his brains fell out on the floor.
there was brain matter and blood dripping from the ceiling.
Thank
to the
heavens for
human
those
body.
blurs.
Somebody had picked up all the shells from the shotgun casings.
Yeah, they were pretty careful about that.
They found the two brothers out in front of the house. They were hysterical. They were overacting.
Yeah.
But they treated as
They believed it
suspects
for a
by
while.
the investigator.
We had no alibi. The gunpowder residue was all over our hands. Under normal circumstances, they give you a gunpowder residue test.
Yeah, they
We would've
skated
been
for a
arrested
while.
immediately. There were shells, gun shells in my car. My car was inside the search area.
They neglected searching a lot. They didn't search the car. They didn't. Yeah. They would have found guns if they'd looked in the car right away.
Beverly Hills is a different kind of police department. They have much better customer service for their citizens.
Have you done everything to make your visit comfortable, Mr. Murderer?
Let's just run through this room straight. We pulled there.
Okay, so this is the interrogation tape.
And I guess maybe one of the reasons that I walked straight in there is because the TV was on. The TV.
Yeah. Was it on tennis?
I didn't touch the
Is that what they were watching? I thought they were watching a movie or a TV show or something. Maybe that's just stock footage.
I told the detectives that I saw smoke, which would have been impossible if I didn't do it. It's pretty incredible we were not arrested that night.
Sometimes cops overlook things.
I just almost assumed when I shoot PCI, I walked in there and I saw them shot. I just assumed what was actual.
I mean, if I just came upon a scene like that, I'd probably presume the same thing.
If you have a domestic, you would be an idiot police officer not to consider other family members.
On the other hand, this is Beverly Hills. And the idea that the sons at 21 and 18 could have been so responsible for such incredible acts of violence.
It's true, though. You have to look at everything.
I met Erik and Lyle Menendez at the Menendez Mansion at 722 North Elm Drive.
The confession was Halloween, right? So this is like a week and a half before.
How can they be living here after this terrible crime took place?
Yeah, if they were innocent, they probably would have moved or something. Granted, I don't think they had the money.
Lyle Menendez did 90% of the talking. At one point, Lyle Menendez asked me if I would like to work with the brothers on a book about their father. They thought he was such a great man.
That doesn't sound
I did
like
what telling the legend, telling the stories. I found safety in that.
Oh, my dad was so great.
He said that the
then when
Menendez
find out what
family
happened.
really liked the Kennedys, that Jose was going to move to Miami.
I mean, the
and
Kennedys
run
have
for
their
the US
secrets too,
Senate
but nothing
in
like
Florida.
that.
My brother and I should not have been having these meetings. We were in no emotional condition to be meeting with anyone.
Yeah, probably.
But in the aftermath, without my father helping direct my life, I was quite lost.
Careful what you wish for, I guess, you know? You wanted your parents dead, and that's what happened.
And seeing their heartbreak, and seeing them cry, and this compounding tragedy that just rippled out into every member of my family.
That must have been something, like, seeing everyone upset and knowing, like, you did that.
There was a memorial service at the Princeton University Chapel. The most poignant moment was when Lyle read a letter from his father.
Yeah, we
It said,
saw this in the doc, too.
I believe that
One
you
of the
will.
first things we saw, actually. Yeah.
Erik and Lyle Menendez were each handling the deaths of their parents in very different ways. Lyle Menendez really kind of became like his father overnight. Suddenly,
man of the
he
house
went
syndrome
from
there.
being
And for a while, Lyle hired these bodyguards, saying he feared for his own life because his father had a lot of business enemies.
Yeah.
At that point,
Case in
it
point,
was
the people who
about
shot them, right?
preserving the family.
Their behavior after the murders was startling. They went shopping. Now, I love a good shopping expedition, but this was crazy.
Retail therapy, right?
Erik dropped plans to enter UCLA and hired a $50,000 a year tennis coach to help him turn pro.
Lyle bought a Porsche, expensive clothes, and a restaurant near the family's former home in Princeton, New Jersey.
He bought a restaurant?
That I was having.
Imagine working at that restaurant when all this was going down.
I was not enjoying myself as a playboy, that I was actually sobbing a lot at night, sleeping poorly.
A little back and forth. They put on the
Contrary
face
to
in
the
public,
way
I
some
guess.
people
but
think the police are not stupid.
probably a lot of remorse.
And when the brothers started spending money, the police were like, wonder if that would be a motive.
The thing is, when you
I'm
have
amazed
a
it took that
homicide
long.
inside a house, as they investigated, they would come to me and say, okay, we have this now. And I'd say, great, but there's not enough to file a case yet. I needed the police to find me the guns, or find me where they bought the guns, or something major like that.
There's got to be some kind of
Finally,
paper
the
trail, even in
investigators ended up
1989.
in Sandy.
The actual murder weapons have never been found, but authorities say they believe 12-gauge Mossberg shotguns, just like this one, were used.
And when that happened, the case was ready to go.
Yeah, liftoff.
Today at approximately 1:20 p.m., Beverly Hills police detectives arrested Joseph Lyle Menendez, 22, for the August murders
Yeah,
of
so
his
it
mother,
took,
Louise
6.5
Kitty
months.
Menendez.
Police say the motive was apparently money, a $14 million inheritance to be shared by the brothers.
That's a little bit difficult considering they were written out of the will, or at least threatened to be written out of the will.
For They had called the media to be ready. They arrested me, and SWAT team, cornering the car on the road like I was a fugitive drug dealer or something.
Or a murderer,
Police arrested Lyle at the family mansion yesterday. Younger brother Erik's reportedly returning from an overseas trip to surrender.
Took him a few days to get Erik.
From that moment when I got
I'm amazed
off the
Erik
plane,
didn't flee.
the
Stay
handcuffs
there
on me,
and take an assumed name or
everything
something.
changed.
The day I learned that Lyle and Erik were arrested was a jaw drop.
I don't know if my jaw would drop.
For 7 months, it
I
was
wouldn't be
kind
that
of a
surprised.
local LA story.
Not many Hollywood murder mysteries ever took a more dramatic turn.
The bizarre twist to a sensational California murder.
They should suffer just like their parents did.
Again,
maybe not the exact same
overnight,
way, but yeah.
the Menendez case blew up all over the world.
Oh man, all the different languages too. That's crazy.
They are too fine to go to prison. Whoa! I know they don't exactly.
That lady's got it bad.
Two California brothers have pleaded not guilty to charges they killed their wealthy parents.
The arrest of Lyle and Erik Menendez for the shotgun slaying of their parents came as a surprise to family members.
No, not sweet and innocent Lyle and Erik.
Jose's secretary had called me to tell me they were arrested.
Yeah, the sister again.
It was unbelievable to me that this could be so. I knew they had made a mistake. It couldn't be that Lyle and Erik would have done this.
Oh, strap in, lady.
Most of the Menendez family said there's no possible way that the brothers were involved in this.
Eventually they confess.
This boy killing father and mother? No, no, and no.
Was that Jose's mom?
Could not imagine telling my family that I had done this. Telling my grandmother.
I didn't want to destroy my father's reputation after we were responsible for his death. I was
Then what
very
happened?
fearful, and so I was trying desperately to convince my brother, you have no idea, you're going to have to survive in prison.
Yeah, especially knowing you're going to be there for a long time, probably.
It's going to be a media spectacle from the very beginning.
Okay, fast forward to we're at the trial now.
Jury selection begins in a murder trial, and it's
Got
not
to the trial
your
faster
ordinary
than the
case.
miniseries did.
You practice running backwards. See?
I love the actress they got
I
for
knew that
Leslie.
this was going to
looks
be
just like her.
I was already well aware of the details of having read everything in newspapers
Well, from
and
the
in
jurors.
magazines, even though they preferred that you did not.
When I was
It's
called
hard
to
with a
jury
trial
duty,
like
I
that,
had no
like
idea
trying to find jurors
there
that
were
are living
rumors
under a rock or
that-
something.
So when I first saw Erik Menendez walk into the courtroom, I knew for sure that it was. I'd never seen a murderer before.
Little
He was a
starstruck,
murderer.
right?
This was going to be one of the first televised celebrity trials. The trial was on a new cable TV channel called Court TV.
Court TV was
We
new
now
at the
return
time.
It was a murder trial as a reality show.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way.
You've got Beverly Hills, you've got murder, and then you've got one other ingredient. It's now on television.
Yeah, televised trials were a very new thing at the time. And then OJ happened right after that, and it's like
today?
the
I
whole
think it's
business.
because I know this case so well. I've lived this case. I've lived their lives for 3.5 years.
Like everybody became a character. Leslie too.
This 4'11" little orphan Annie lookalike is 104 pounds of pure dynamite.
Girl's got herself a reputation.
If I told you what I really thought of Leslie Abramson, I would be sued. Because she, I
Oh,
think, has
wow.
lost all her money. And I'm not giving up my house.
Yeah. Yeah, I might want to keep that quiet then.
First day I met him at the jail.
Oh, Jill.
And I said the same thing to him that everybody else always asks me, oh, it must be really terrible given the lifestyle that you've had to be in jail. And his answer was, in some ways it's easier than living at home.
Oh, what an answer.
Jill Lansing was not
Tells
the
you
most
so much.
prominent defense. She turned out to be remarkably skillful. Very graceful, very honest. Fine.
Not the character that Leslie is, but apparently she did a good job.
I didn't feel like I was in the presence of pure evil. They were like potted plants to me. They were like poisonous potted plants, but there was nothing about them that I found fascinating.
I think you're in the minority on
The
that one,
judge
girl.
had been the judge
See the
of
crowds
Rodney
outside?
King case. That turned out not the way that the judge, I'm sure, would like to have had it.
I'd like to see a documentary on the Rodney
distrust
King case,
of the
like or a
court
miniseries
system.
or something like that.
And
it's something
had
I know about, but
credibility.
not a lot in detail.
Day one of the trial.
It'd be interesting to watch as well.
What is going to happen today is that you will be hearing the opening statements.
They didn't really make the judge much of a character in the miniseries.
I was coming into the
obviously
courthouse,
the judge was there,
and people were filming me, and I went in the bathroom and threw up. The only time I've ever thrown up during a trial or before a trial or anything. Having the media there was a nightmare. You don't have to do that in a normal
It's a new thing for everybody.
19 days after the killings, a life insurance policy which had been procured earlier by Jose Menendez was paid to the defendants. The policy cumulatively was for $650,000.
And then shopping spree time.
Lyle Menendez, this murder was unlawful, unjustified, and wholly premeditated. And that but for a few mistakes they made, this was almost the perfect murder.
The only reason I'm doing this after 33 years.
All right, Ms. Lansing.
The only thing that you are going to have to focus on in this trial is why it happened. And what is it was
I imagine
done
they've had the conversations by
out of
this time.
If you didn't swim well enough, you were held underwater.
Yeah.
When Jose took off his belt, someone was going to get beaten. You didn't
And the
know
truth
who,
comes out.
and you didn't
And that's
know
only
why.
the surface of the truth.
She was leaving suicide notes for her sons. She was threatening to poison the family.
Yeah.
A crazy woman.
Yeah, I'm remembering the scenes in the miniseries about, the
Erik
sons
Menendez
being afraid
will
of
tell
poison.
you unlike the alleged crime that the prosecution here presents, those crimes occurred in total secrecy. Taken.
Very few people were told, too,
He killed
apparently.
his parents because his parents were wealthy. The prosecution tells you he did it for the money. What do they say when poor kids kill?
Counsel, now
Good
you're
question.
arguing again.
I'm done.
That was a great line, though.
From the outside, they had the picture of the classic first-generation American, do everything, make good, wonderful American success story.
Yeah, but
If you
appearances aren't
only saw
everything.
this-
And especially nowadays, you learn that a lot more. Oh, we're going way, way back now.
The Menendez family was one of the elite. They were doctors and lawyers and had a prestigious bloodline going all the way back to Spain. They
Cool
had
to trace the
this
family
sort
tree
of
back like that.
dreamlike life in Cuba, with the beaches and the society and the prestige.
So yeah, and then Castro happened.
They came to America penniless. Everything had to be left behind.
Yeah.
Their wealth, prestige, their privilege, it was all stripped away. And they became refugees in a new country.
Those stories are tough like that, A new evil regime takes over a country and, you gotta get where you're safe.
Oh, she wanted to be a leader. She wanted to have a career.
Yeah.
But in my family, the father is everything.
Yeah, Jose made sure of that. Menudo, okay.
He rose up to be the...
Yeah, his record company produced Menudo.
By the time he was in his 40s, he ran enormous companies.
Yeah, he had a lot of things.
Nobody does it better than her.
Yeah.
Hired OJ to be a spokesman in those commercials.
Yeah, OJ had his own troubles.
And then he became the head of RCA Records.
Directing the lives of very significant stars at the time. Hall & Oates, Kenny Rogers,
Hall & Oates too? Wow.
Create him and Menudo.
They didn't even mention those stars in the miniseries.
Thousands of young people outside.
Just Menudo.
All here they are, Menudo.
That might have been a young Ricky Martin.
From the outside, this was the perfect all-American family. And behind the gates of that mansion, it was a different story.
Two kids don't commit this crime for money.
I guess that's true, unless they want to get faster.
Dr. L. Jerome Oziel.
Oh, that's Dr. Oziel.
So the case broke open because of the wackiest, weirdest, most unusual turn of circumstances anyone could ever have imagined. And if anyone had written this for a script
Doctor's
in
a bit of a
Hollywood,
player,
the
that's the
Hollywood
reason.
people would have gone. Erik had gone to see a therapist named Dr. Jerome Oziel. And then after the murders, he had started to see him again.
I and any therapist carries with him or with her at all times hundreds or thousands of people's secrets.
It must be crazy to live with, just knowing all this stuff and not being able to say anything.
Mr. Oziel, would you describe
Mr.
what
Oziel?
occurred as?
He leaned back against, as I recall, a parking meter that was in front of the office door and said, we did it.
Yep.
I don't know if he said we killed our parents, but I asked him, you mean you killed your parents?
Yep.
Exactly.
And a whole can of worms begins.
What happened? The father had just been completely dominating and was impossible to please, had perfectionistic standards, and also that
that wasn't the only reason.
Very controlled. They couldn't find a way not to include her in the plan. The mother would have been a witness, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they didn't believe that the mother could have survived.
The mother had her guilt as well. There were a lot of reasons they wanted to include her.
He wants to get their confessions on tape.
He wanted one tape in which at some point on tape he told us, you guys say you killed your parents.
Needed an insurance policy.
And that we worked through this in a confidential way. That's what a normal therapist would do. Dr. Oziel is right into blackmail.
Hollywood shrink right here.
My father refused to hire Dr. Oziel unless he signed a document saying that everything that Erik told him he would relay to my father.
Oh, yikes.
And Dr. Oziel signed a document to that effect. My father chose this sleazy
That's not
psychologist.
Good. And that's why the brothers couldn't talk about the abuse while he was alive.
Why?
He laughed and he said that I should have felt threatened because immediately after the session, he and Erik had sat in Erik's new Jeep, and the first statement that Lyle had made to Erik was, now how do we kill Oziel?
Well, we saw that in the miniseries.
I mean, obviously he wasn't feeling that threatened. He didn't go to the police and say, I feel threatened. He knew that he could.
I guess that's true, he could have.
Then told
Just
his
played it as
girlfriend
long
and
as he
his wife
could.
what had happened.
Judalon Smith claims that she and Oziel were lovers and that he asked her to eavesdrop during a session in which the Menendez brothers allegedly confessed to their parents' murder.
Goes to the police.
Just another insurance
because
policy.
She was mad at her boyfriend
ended up
because she
blowing up.
said he had raped her. And oh, by the way, he is the psychiatrist from the Menendez brothers, and they confessed that they did it, and they threatened to kill him.
Information that
Oh, by the way, right?
Judalon Smith was originally a patient of Dr. Oziel, so right there he's got a dual relationship, which is unethical.
Miss Smith,
strike
your
one,
main
I guess.
motivation-
Yes, he had abducted me from my home. He had drugged me. He had forced me to stay in his home against my will. He had threatened my life.
We didn't hear much about his aftermath. Like,
She
did
said
anything happen to
Dr.
him?
Oziel
Like,
brothers
did he lose his license
and
or go to
told
jail
her
or
about it.
anything?
It was like watching a soap opera for a living. It was comic relief. It was not to be believed. Not only in terms of testimony, but in terms of people really act like this.
He's
It is pretty nuts.
waiting to test it. AG calls me up and says, well, Dr. Oziel's going to lose his license. And I said, could you, like, wait a couple weeks before you make him lose his license?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Convenience, right?
It ended up in the California Supreme Court on the issue of these tapes, whether or not the facts were sufficient to get a waiver of the psychotherapist patient privilege. We got
guess
those
they'd have to
tapes
do that,
at
right?
the end of the trial.
The court hearing is still occurring on whether or not Dr. Oziel is even going to be able to testify that Erik confessed to him, let alone any kind of tape coming in.
Yeah, that's pretty much all they had, right?
One of the LA County Sheriff's Office released a statement that said Erik and Lyle Menendez had tried to escape that morning.
Oh, was this when they passed notes? And then they
And
separated
they
them,
were
I think?
allowed to do a search. In the course of searching the brothers' cells, the sheriff's deputies found a 17-page letter
Yeah, that's
in
what that is.
Erik's cell. Lyle had written in big letters, "Destroy this after you read it."
Oh, man. Or Detroit. Forgot a letter there. But
Lyle couldn't express what he did in that letter in person. It was easier for him to put it on paper.
yeah, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you're a better writer than you're a better speaker. I feel like I'm like that sometimes. Even after everything they went through, it's still like, I don't want to disappoint my dad.
Because they had that note, they had a confession that we were responsible for my parents' death.
Yeah, pretty much no turning back after they see
I
that.
was supposed to destroy that letter, but it was a precious letter to me.
Maybe you
One of
Detroit it
those-
instead.
The sheriff's department quietly put out a statement, "Gee, sorry, Erik and Lyle never tried to escape. My bad."
A retraction on page
As a result of
53.
Them find we now had to confess to everyone, and having them have to relive not just my parents' death, but now knowing that we were responsible
It must suck for all the relatives to finally find that out.
So I don't understand if you no longer love me and no longer want me in your life.
Yeah, I think most of the relatives stood by them,
It
though.
was just that something I was doing to try to keep a secret from coming out was the reason that my brother then said, and Leslie, well, now you have to.
Yeah,
Your
no choice at that point.
obsession with
Leslie was an extremely smart and wise woman.
When you get arrested, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know who to hire, and nobody really does, and I just got lucky.
Yeah, it's cool to have these old interviews.
That we were key. I needed to get to an emotional space where I could talk about what happened.
Yeah, and then finally it all comes out, right?
When you approached your first session with Erik Menendez, was it your expectation that you would try to get information from him, as you usually do?
So that's
when
the
Leslie Abramson
psychiatrist
called me and asked me to help her because she
doesn't
could
look
not
much
figure
older.
out, my impression initially was that they were two rich kids that just knocked off their parents for the money.
Yeah, seems to be what everyone thought
But
originally.
he was so depressed, so distraught, that I could hardly get any information out of him.
When I first met Dr. Vickery, I saw him as another Dr. Oziel.
Yeah, some people are better than Dr. Oziel. Actually, most of them are.
I would much rather lose the murder trial than talk about our past and what had happened.
Can't have your
Kept
cake and eat it
rambling
too,
on
unfortunately.
about his father, and he didn't do what I wanted him to do. He just kept crying and telling me how wonderful his dad was. And that went on for like the first 2, 3, 4 hours that I saw him.
In my mind, I'm thinking, as all the other lawyers and experts are, but you killed them. I mean, if they're so wonderful, why did you kill them?
Pretty basic
Jill
question at that
Lansing,
point.
who was Menendez's attorney, called me, explained that there was a case that might involve child abuse. And so, in fact, I agreed to conduct an evaluation of Mr. Lyle Menendez.
I don't think we saw this guy.
I talked to relatives, trying to get a sense of Lyle and the family.
Lyle and Erik and I formed a bond. We were like
Okay,
the
it's
three
a cousin.
musketeers
Probably
ourselves.
the daughter of that Joan lady, considering the last
One
name.
time, Jose put Lyle on a kitchen counter and prompted Lyle to jump off, and he was going to catch him.
Oh,
As
trust
Lyle
exercise.
did so, Jose backed off and let him fall to the ground,
Oh, what an
telling
asshole.
him that you can never trust anybody.
Yeah, including you, apparently.
Having a fun. Jose hit Lyle with his closed fist.
Did he seem to hit him hard?
Yes, he did.
Lyle would have been about 5 years old at this
Yes.
Yeah, when you're 5 years old, anything's hard.
People who have such small contact with my father saying, this was the most intimidating, worst human I've met in my whole life. So that's why there was 0 character witnesses on my parents'
Yeah,
behalf.
Lyle's just like, you don't know the half of
Why
it.
find that one?
I couldn't find anyone to say anything nice about Jose Menendez except for his secretary. About him.
Yeah, he was probably a little
and
extra
what
nice
a
to his
monster
secretary.
he was.
If you know what I mean.
The loss of Jose Menendez, in my mind, was an actual plus for mankind. Jose Menendez was a really awful man, okay? And he raised 2 sons capable of murder. So there you go.
Yeah, murdering an awful man.
Lyle described a situation where he was a favorite child, in some ways trying to be a little dad, a little Jose, but not being as competent or skillful as dad, but trying.
I think that the older brother was much more like the father, more aggressive, dominating, kind of manipulative. The younger brother was
Yeah, I
much
could
more
see
like
that.
the mother, more emotional, could become hysterical at times.
I think that's a pretty good description.
He would just pull it up and hold him up and see how much he could stand without crying.
And how old is he at the time?
Why can't you stop crying? And he kept on yelling at the kid, and of course Erik would cry more.
Now, this is
Yeah, yelling at a kid and asking them why they're
Did you
crying,
see this
it's
on
like,
more than one occasion
ugh.
during that week?
Yes, I saw
Some people are
it
just
twice in
stupid.
that week. He was very proud of Lyle whenever Lyle was doing something competitive against any one of the other cousins, and he loved the fact that Lyle didn't cry, and even if they were hitting him, used to induce
Lyle
that
learned
type
how to
of
repress it. That's the
competitiveness,
difference.
fighting.
You know, if a sports parent, to some degree, is a classical thing. But my father took it really to an extraordinary level.
Oh, we saw some of that.
He loved us, but he believed that love needed to be earned. So to be loved by him, we had
unconditional love. What does that mean?
What's the profile, Ms. Burgess? Is there a profile of the violent family member?
There's no really general profile. There are some common threads in the family very often. They themselves may have been abused.
Yep. You're not born violent. It starts somewhere.
One of the misconceptions is that I did not love my father or love my mother. That is the farthest thing from the truth.
Yeah, it's a complicated love, but I do believe that.
And I wanted her to love me and be happy with me and be happy that I was her son and feel that joy and that connection, and I just want that. It's more difficult with my father.
Yeah, I can imagine that too.
He had a boy. He was more than just a man. He was like the modern version of an ancient Greek god.
Everyone thinks of their father that way when they're that young, and then you realize your father's human.
He was rarely a dad.
The difference between a
One
father
of the
and a dad.
techniques that I use, but also with persons that have committed a crime, is I ask them to draw it. It's a non-leading way of getting some information.
Those are chilling.
It was a mini Rorschach, I guess you could say, to have him draw it out. And I think it was helpful for him to be able to put it on paper, because
This is like everything coming
he
out on
hadn't
paper.
really talked about that this is not something that, you know, they need money or any other motive or revenge or all of the other motives that we could think of. I said something is very wrong in the family.
Absolutely.
Slowly, bits and pieces about the perfect family began to disintegrate.
The truth comes to the surface. I hate you, I hate you. Oh, wow. What is he doing there?
Dr. Vickery revealed himself to be a kind, compassionate, gentle person.
So not Ozil.
Letting me sit in silence until I felt safe enough to speak.
That's a good therapist right there.
Both brothers are expected to testify in the case. They'll give their version of why they admittedly fired 15 shotgun blasts into their parents here at the family's Beverly Hills mansion. Defense attorneys say Lyle could begin telling that much-awaited story by the end of the week.
Okay, so a couple months in now. Here we go.
I really didn't want to testify. It was Joe Lansing that convinced me.
Joseph Lyle Menendez.
So it'll be interesting to compare this to what I saw in the miniseries too.
Anyway.
Was doing what your father wanted of you important?
That's what made him happy, and that's what I wanted to do.
Why'd you
So
want
important
to
to
make
him, really.
And between the ages of 6 and 8, did your father have sexual contact with you?
Here we go.
Yes. He would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him.
Someone did say in the comments the real thing was actually much more intense than the miniseries, and I believe it now.
Were you scared?
Very.
Did you tell your mom?
I told her that he keeps touching me. My dad has to punish me when I do things wrong.
Oh, I hate that line. I hated it when I heard it in the
told me that he
miniseries
loved
too. Like, that's not a punishment for doing something wrong.
The weight of his testimony of having to really destroy the reputation of the family.
When this was going on?
Can't see Eric's face, but like,
Did you do
you
something
can see
to
the
your brother?
intensity in his face. What you can see.
Yes.
What did you do to your brother?
Here we go.
I took him out to the woods, and I played with Eric. In the same way.
Oh yeah, this is the part that's hard for Eric too.
And I'm sorry.
Oh, the look on the judge's face.
I remember when he apologized to me on the stand for molesting me. That was a devastating moment for me.
Oh, you can see it.
He had never said he was sorry to me before.
There was a scene in the miniseries
first
where he
day
said he
of
was sorry, but I
Lyle's
guess
testimony.
that's
There
the
were
miniseries.
many. I mean, I thought either he is the best actor I've ever seen in my life, or he's telling the absolute truth.
It was
That's what
very
Dominic Dunn said in
compelling.
the miniseries.
It was, okay, I'll tell you exactly what I thought. I thought, oh shit. You know, that sums it all up. Because it was pretty good.
People have to be held accountable for what they do, regardless of how they're feeling, because there are a lot of abused people who don't commit crimes.
Has cautioned the
There's that
brothers'
side of it,
lawyers
too.
that a hit.
Erik Galen Menendez, M-E-N-E-N-D-E-Z.
Now Eric's testimony.
Are you aware of the idiosyncrasies of that microphone?
Ah, the stupid microphone.
I don't know that I can do this. I don't know that I can talk about what happened to me. And I dreaded it.
And then you got the bad microphone
Mr.
to go along
Menendez,
with
where
that.
do you live?
Los Angeles County Jail.
And how long have you lived there?
3.5 years.
Of 1989.
I guess that counts as an address.
Were you being sexually molested by your father?
Yes.
And when did that begin? How old were you?
I was 6 years old.
Yeah, a long
From
time.
the time you were... What do you believe was the originating cause of you and your brother shooting your parents?
Me telling Lyle that,
That it was still happening.
Yeah. My dad.
Oh, yeah, this is much more intense than what we saw in the miniseries.
Okay.
My dad. My dad had been molesting me.
This would be good to like...
Yeah, he's
All right,
not in
we'll
a good
take our
spot right
recess
now.
until... And we're ready to resume with the testimony. You may resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, he
Now,
looks
at
better.
this time in your...
He used to come into my room and he had me take off my underwear.
Ooh.
He would massage my genitals.
How did he treat you?
He was kind.
I wouldn't call that kind.
He never said anything negative to me, but I was part
I
of
don't
the
know if I
family
believe
and that this was something between us. And what he said is that this would stop if I told anyone.
And did you want it to
Oh
stop?
my gosh.
No.
Manipulative bullshit.
Because it was the only time I got to spend alone with my dad. For
It's
him
like
to be
Stockholm
nice
syndrome
and caring
stuff.
with
Like,
me.
you
Mr.
convince him
Menendez,
to
can
like
you
it.
look
You
to your
like,
right to the
ugh.
pictures of your... Did you ever say no?
Yes.
How did he react to your saying no?
He stormed out of that room.
So what happened next?
He came back with the knife.
Ah.
Now, this
God.
knife...
Yeah, I'd fear for my life if that
I
happened.
remember it being. He put it on my neck. He put his hand on my head. And put the knife on my neck.
Did he
Don't say
threaten
no
anything?
again.
Yes.
What did he say?
He said I should kill you, and next time I will.
Oh, jeez.
And did you believe him?
Yes.
I believe him.
He had this wooden, it was about this long, and it had a little knob at the end, and it was roundish. And, he would tell me to use that on myself.
What part of your body were you supposed to use this thing?
I don't want to hear the answer.
My butt.
Yeah.
I had to give him a massage on my knees until he started to have an orgasm.
Had he ever
disgusting,
done
man.
that?
He would say, "What's going to happen to you if you tell anyone?" And I remember the first time I said that you will hurt me. And he said, wrong. And so I hit myself. And he said, what's going to happen if you tell someone? And I said, you'll kill me. And he said, right.
About who
Dude
a
was a
sex
criminal.
offender was, and a powerful, highly successful executive was not looked upon as the kind of person who would sexually abuse their children.
Fast forward to today, we
well-dressed
know what a sex offender
white
is now.
guys' perception
If this had all
of
happened
what a
today, it might
victim
be a
should
very
look
different
like.
story.
When you have a doubt, that's where the law comes in and says you need to give them that benefit of the doubt.
How do you know they were sexually abused? Have you ever?
What show is this?
They were abusing us. You know what fear is like? How do you know?
This is like a political argument here.
The defense used psychological manipulation of the jurors by putting nice-looking, wealthy young men in sweaters crying on the stand.
Why didn't the Menendez brothers leave?
Oh, this is
They're
SNL.
grown up. They should have left the house if they were being abused.
Malkovich and Rob Schneider.
But everything, watching a lot of court TV. Riveted to the Menendez brothers trial.
I don't get a chance to watch much TV.
Oh, these two arrogant brothers are gonna fry.
I forget her name.
They made a Menendez sitcom.
Oh, Leno.
It will premiere in just a few weeks. They've asked me to run the opening of the show for you right now. Well, here it is. Take a look.
The Menendez Brothers show. So cartoonish.
I called Jay Leno's show one time to protest them making fun of them.
You
and
can't do
that's all
that.
they did. I was told that we were public property now and they could do what they wanted.
I mean, it is pretty much how comedy works.
The defense used witness after witness to try and portray Jose and Kitty Menendez as cruel, abusive, and demanding parents. 1976.
Amazing how they could find a lot of witnesses like that, but
Lyle
not one
told her of
who said
molestation.
Jose was a nice guy.
He proceeded to indicate to me by touching himself down
Okay.
and saying that his dad and him had been touching each other down there.
So he told her.
Dad. I went and got Kitty and brought her downstairs and told her
Yeah,
what
and
was
Kitty
going
didn't
on.
give a shit.
She didn't believe me.
Oh, Kitty knew what was happening.
I just felt like, well, nobody else is doing anything. I must have been wrong. Then Lyle and Erik killing their parents made me wonder again. You know, maybe I wasn't wrong then.
You weren't, girl.
And he had hope that if he went to Stanford, that maybe he would have some distance between the father. But the father told him, you're not going to Stanford, you're going to UCLA, and you're going to be living here.
You think you have that escape, and
the
then...
most important when my father told me, no, that you are not getting away from me. It was, up until that moment, the most devastating moment of my life.
Yeah, I would be too.
I remember. And so I sat down with him and told him to relax and let's talk. And I was very shaky myself.
Yeah, he's reliving his
just
own.
From the...
Lyle, being the macho, dominant, aggressive figure, went to confront the father.
Don't touch my brother again.
I told him he was
they keep showing that
fucking
picture.
sick person.
Yeah.
I knew everything that was going on between him and Erik, and that he wasn't going to touch my brother again. He just said, you listen to me. What I do with my son is none of your business.
Kinda is.
And we're going to forget this conversation ever took place.
There was
no one's ever
another
forgetting that
very
again.
Kitty revealed that she had known about Erik, the abuse, all the time. And she said to Lyle, what do you think, I'm stupid? And she hadn't
do
done
something
anything.
about it.
That somehow I could rescue Erik with no consequence, could confront my father, that my mother would somehow react for the first time in her life like a mother. Those are very unrealistic.
Yeah, pipe dream with that family.
I don't understand how she didn't protect him. I can't even explain it.
Yeah, the sister's just thinking, you know, if they were my kids.
We weren't just going to stay around waiting to die. We were going to try and get some ways of defending ourselves. On Friday, our idea was just to get the guns. That was what we wanted to do on Friday.
Did you end up
Gotta
in
get
a
guns
gun
on
store in
Friday.
San Diego?
And then we felt that if we were going to get attacked, it would be at night.
Okay. So they were waiting for an attack at first.
My dad left, went in the den. I thought they were going ahead with their plan to kill us. I ran upstairs to tell my brother that it was happening now.
So at least outwardly they feared for their lives, so that's why they did it at that moment.
Do you remember firing a very close shot at your father?
I don't remember the shot, really.
I imagine the whole thing would be a blur to them.
Remember?
I saw the shot, and it was the most horrible, horrific sight I could ever imagine.
Yeah, I imagine
was
even
it
if
that
that's what you
happened
mean to
after
do,
the
like,
shooting ended?
you're not prepared for what it looks
I heard
like.
a noise. It reached over and I shot her close. I started to scream. I couldn't handle what I was seeing.
Just showing all these old pictures while they're talking about
I
this.
dropped my
It's like-
gun and I think we went to the movie theater. We
was
decided
one
that
place
we
they
should
went.
go. And I believe I went upstairs to call the police.
Are they still there? The people. No. Were they shot? Yes. They were shot? Yes.
Out of the
Yeah,
house.
it's kind of grainy sound, but yeah.
And they
It's really intense when you see a body wielding, when you know it's a real body, and it's not just a movie. Like, that's
In regards
the actual
to
body.
the Lyle Menendez.
A lot of people who sympathize with the Menendez brothers say it was self-defense. Well, it wasn't from a legal perspective.
Yeah, not exactly.
It was.
The normal definition of self-defense is that the defendants believe that they were about to be assaulted in some sort of serious manner.
Yeah, at that moment,
and
they really
responded in order.
Someone can be so in fear of their lives at that very moment, but mistaken, that they kill in imperfect self-defense.
So that's what they were trying to go with.
Unreasonably.
What the attorneys were arguing was it was an honest but an unreasonable belief that I was going to die, which I didn't agree with because I believed that it was an honest and reasonable belief.
I can kind of believe that they believed
that
their parents might do something to them, but it obviously wasn't happening at that moment.
Life. I don't know why I didn't run away was a central part of the trial, and the district attorney constantly saying, well, you had an opportunity to leave, you had an opportunity to leave. I was groomed to know that I could never get away.
A lot of parents are like that. They put those ideas in their kids' head, like, you're stuck here.
We are not here to try Mr. and Mrs. Menendez for being bad parents. We're not here to try Jose Menendez for being an alleged, not a convicted, but an alleged child molester.
It's true, that's not what this trial is for, but yeah.
Watching it's kind of like if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it has feathers, it's a duck. The defense is going to try to tell you that the duck in this case is really a donkey, but that's not correct.
I'm telling
The duck is hanging out with Shrek.
And
in first-degree murder, they were looking at life in prison without parole. Second-degree murder, under which a sentence, if convicted, would have been less than that, or manslaughter, under which they would have served some significantly reduced sentence and been out in maybe 5 to 10 years. And so that's what the defense
like what happened
was
to
really
Dominique Dunn's killer.
Either this
He
is
was
a
out like
murder,
3 years.
it is a killing that resulted from the things that we have told you about, and that it was done under a state of fear. And if that is true, there is no malice, and it can only be manslaughter.
This girl knows her arguments.
It's been 14 weeks.
It
All right.
wasn't even a trial of guilt or innocence because the boys had already confessed to it.
Yep.
It was a question of degree.
I knew it was going to be difficult because there were so many choices for us to agree on a choice.
Yeah, and they couldn't.
If even one, so it can be 11-1 either way, and you might have to retry the case again.
Jurors have just broken for lunch. They'll be back at work at about 1 p.m.
Too many stubborn people, probably on both sides.
My worst fear came to pass when we made the mistake of taking a show of hands. All of the men raised their hands in favor of first-degree murder, and none of the women raised their hands. So I knew
it's true. It was
that we had
it was a
battle on our
man-woman
hands,
split.
a battle of I think the men had a really hard time accepting the fact that a young man could possibly be abused by his father.
Yeah.
And the women
Common myth.
were
Too many
more-
people believe it.
We told the judge that we were at an impasse. And he said, okay, but try again. And we did try again.
As long as you have
It just
jurors
wasn't
talking, that
happening.
they're not yelling and screaming at each other's throats, there's always a possibility of a verdict.
How do you know they weren't yelling and
There
screaming?
was a lot of anxiety.
We deliberated for a month. A month.
That's a long time to be doing that.
Stay away from this area here. Hey,
Yeah, it's like a month and a half.
We remain deadlocked. Since our last report to you, we have been unable to move closer to agreement on any of the counts.
Nobody's budging.
With the Erik Menendez jury deadlocked, a mistrial has been declared in his case.
The jurors in the Lyle Menendez murder trial have told the jury they are unable to reach a verdict, hopelessly deadlocked.
Yeah. Here we go again.
I felt terrible that we couldn't reach a verdict. We
Yeah, there
all
were two
did.
separate juries in real life, I guess. In the miniseries, they portrayed it as one jury.
a big waste of time.
I do not think a decision can be reached. It's too divisive an issue. There's too much information, and I think that the district attorney should just end it.
The
got
prosecutors in this
sick of it
case
after a while.
understand.
There was no thought that I would just go home. Whether, as a result of the trial, I would spend 15 years in prison or I would spend 50. I had no idea. When they came back,
I think they knew they were going to jail, but yeah.
I imagined it meant that I had to do the trial all over again.
Yeah.
It may as well not have happened. Like, it was just crushing.
Just
I
a
knew
complete
at that
waste of
point
time, I guess.
I was done.
Like, not just the brother's time, but everybody's.
We are going to be trying the case a second time. Some cases take more than one opportunity, and I am pleased that at least we have that second opportunity. Had they come back with voluntary manslaughter, you would have seen an entirely different reaction from me because I would have been utterly disappointed.
Round two.
Very physically emotional.
I mean, it's been the strangest thing I've ever been through. I mean, my mother died. My son was born. You know, I moved. I went through all this stuff. I haven't shed a tear in 5 months.
Do you feel this is a victory
Wow, all that stuff happened during the trial.
The Menendez mistrials were declared at the end of January of 94. O.J. Simpson was arrested in June of 94.
Yeah, new flavor of the month.
O.J. Simpson is sitting in the back seat, and he has a gun at his head.
Simpson was arrested last night after leading police on a dramatic chase through the city. He's scheduled to be arraigned early next week on charges of...
O.J. was Menendez on steroids.
I always say we did the warm-up trial for the O.J. Simpson spectacle.
Yeah, the Menendez trial was the introduction to, like, televised court cases, and O.J. was like, hold my beer.
Absolutely 100% not guilty.
It's being called the trial of the century, and it could last up to 6 months.
Lasted more than that.
Probably the weirdest reconnection was obviously O.J. Simpson.
Nobody does it better than her.
Because O.J. Simpson would toss the football around at my house, and I met him. My father hired him.
Yeah, they would have worked together.
When his arrest, and they tried to jump.
So they were
Eric
at the
was
same
in
jail.
and Lyle was on a different floor. He was bored. Really, his only sort of amusement was to talk on the phone.
Oh, is this going back to, like, Norma and stuff?
Norma Novelli is talking
Yeah.
about a controversial new book she's writing about Lyle Menendez. He talked with him
phone calls.
extensively in jail.
Norma Novelli taped conversations with Lyle over a 2.5-year period. During that time, Lyle admitted he would be willing to lie to help his case when he felt he had to counter damaging testimony from psychologist Jerome Oziel.
Yeah. Sucks for him that got it.
Sometimes people can lie too convincingly.
Oh, sure. So you're going to be just as convincing.
Oh, yeah, well, there's no problem for me.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Gotta know who
the
you're
Norma
talking to,
Novelli
bud.
tapes, it turned out none of the tapes were ever admitted into the trial.
I mean, admitted into the trial or not, like, it public opinion, right?
I think she had a crush on Lyle, which was really weird, since she was in her mid to late 50s. And
Oh, she
Lyle
was that old?
In his 20s.
At some point, she became disenchanted because of his interest in other women.
He was getting a few too many letters.
There's a misconception that her tape recording me had some factor in the trial, which is just completely untrue. The Norma Novelli tapes were kept out because on those tapes, I'm making comments about my feeling about Jess Weisberg, who I felt was making very biased decisions.
At the same time, though, I think it did play a little bit into public opinion, and, you
We,
know,
the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
O.J. getting off.
I don't agree with it. I think he's guilty.
It's hard. Lose faith in the justice system?
Yeah, very controversial here.
No, it teaches me what money can buy.
I cried. I was in the Van Nuys courthouse.
I thought all defense attorneys wanted him not guilty.
No, I said this is bad for the boys. And
Yeah, it's gonna make people
everybody
mad
else.
at them.
It's going to be payback time.
Yeah. That's what Dominic Dunn said in the miniseries, too. Like, they're gonna want a conviction after all this.
It is the retrial of Erik and Lyle Menendez. The brothers, you'll recall, are accused
And
of
the
the
retrial
brutal
started, like, a
shotgun
week
murder
later.
of their
Some people have suggested that the timing on the second trial, given that O.J. had just been acquitted, is responsible for the different approach taken by the prosecution, different approach
Yeah, I can
taken
see
by
that.
the trial.
People were calling into radio stations and saying, what's wrong with that judge? And so he was determined.
The It felt like he was acting differently.
Judge Stanley Weisberg this time says he will limit the number of experts and witnesses called to support the so-called abuse excuse defense.
The judge said, well, Erik and Lyle are not women, so the battered women syndrome doesn't apply.
Yeah,
all of that trauma, it's not relevant. It's not allowed
totally
to have a
relevant.
trial. It's one thing to be biased, but it's another thing to let your bias affect your judicial decisions in the courtroom.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The teachers and coaches and family and friends were never on the stand in the second trial.
They hadn't heard any of my family testifying. None of the relatives. None of the evidence had been admitted.
Really?
So it was just me cold up on the stand.
Evidence
They pretty much had just
Diane
the bare
Vandermolen
bones. Like,
said that Lyle said that he was 8.
He did not give the jury the option of finding manslaughter. So the jury, their choices are basically murder or nothing.
The prosecution has to prove that the elements of the crime were committed, and the prosecution did that.
That's a slam dunk.
Never been in this position before where I was unable to actually put on my case and unable to get the instructions that under all the case authority apply.
This is more of a mistrial than the first one was.
We were given either first-degree murder as an option or no crime whatsoever. We voted unanimously to convict.
Yeah, you had to.
A fist thrust into the air, a much-needed victory for the DA after losing the O.J. Simpson case.
When the verdict came back, I fell apart. I was happy they were convicted, but I fell apart because they got convicted and I didn't do it.
No, I wanted to do it.
If you watch the trials, you certainly would not think that was a fair result.
Absolutely.
How do you go from a hung jury and then suddenly it's just 12-0?
Tom, we've just heard only seconds ago that the verdict is life without parole for both Menendez brothers.
There's no way we could put them to death. Even though that horrible crime happened and what they did was horrible, there was other things, there are good things about them that warrant their life.
The jury was backed into a corner, basically. So, but at least they had the humanity to not kill them.
Tonight, for the very first time out of court, you will hear their story.
Oh, Barbara Walters talked to them.
Tonight, watching our interview, it's important to you to stay together when you get moved to the state prison?
Very important.
At the time that we did the very unusual Barbara Walters interview together, we were still in county jail and the decision had not been made at all. And we did the interview.
And they eventually got split up.
Was to try to plead that they not separate us and show how much we did not want that to happen.
And it didn't work.
They put him in one van, and I didn't understand why they were putting me in another van. I started screaming out to Lyle.
Yeah, we saw that at the end.
My brother actually went on a hunger strike to try to keep us together.
We were
I guess that didn't work.
The brothers took an appeal to the federal court system. A 3-judge panel said their appeal is without merit, and that's the end of it.
Oh, screw that. So they're just apart for the rest of their lives.
Got my only brother, my only sibling. I may never be able to give him a hug again.
Okay, present day now?
I have lived my whole life with hopelessness. If your childhood is traumatic enough, I mean, prison is...
I like that bald look.
I was able to function. I was able to find a sense of mental freedom.
So at least he's spending his days productively.
Art was an important outlet for me. I took to it like someone who's thirsty takes to water. And I saw it as a
dude's a talented artist.
Spiritual, from morning to night, I would just be painting. I would be able to go away from my mind and lose myself.
Before that, he was lucky to even draw stick figures.
I guess we saw those drawings before. They kind of look like stick figures, but yeah, he's evolved.
And this time, this big rolled up paper came. I opened it, and it was a beautiful oil painting.
Oh, so that's on her wall. Nice.
The Beverly Hills brothers, convicted of killing their parents, have been reunited in a Southern California prison.
So it happened years later.
Menendez moved in.
It felt like there was finally a chance to heal. And it was starting on that day.
That would have been a long time, though. It would have been 20, 25 years, right?
Now we are in the same facility. I see him every day, and we talk, and are very close. It took 21 years.
21
years,
It was
really in large part because of the change in societal attitudes about the case and child sexual abuse of boys.
Yeah, I imagine that would have played a big part of it. Like,
there are 200
more people
men
realize it.
Standing in our studio audience right now. Each one is holding a picture of themselves at the age when they say they were first sexually
See, it does happen to men.
Oprah Winfrey did her groundbreaking show in which she had an audience of childhood sex abuse survivors that were male and said that she was lifting the veil off of childhood sexual abuse of boys. That was 16 years after I testified.
Yeah.
I began to receive a lot of letters from other victims. And I began to connect with their own experiences because they were similar to mine.
Way too many people still don't believe it.
they were just kind of giving me courage because they were basically saying that a lot of them had never talked about it, never had a voice to talk about it, always felt like shame and secrecy. The prisoners were coming to me with their own stories because they saw me as a safe place to sort
I cringe every time I hear
vomit
that.
up all that pain.
It's ridiculous.
And it's kind of ironic that I would be the one who ended up devoting my life in prison to sex abuse survivor issues.
Well, good for him. Like, he's actually helping other victims.
In the fall of 2020, my son came to me and he said, "Dad, you have to take a look at TikTok. It's full of Menendez brothers videos." And I was like, "What?"
I went to TikTok and found thousands of videos.
I haven't personally seen these, but yeah.
The reason why they decided to take their parents' lives that day is because they feared for their own lives.
They didn't kill their parents for money. They were in fear of their lives.
They just wanted the abuse to stop.
There's
Public opinion did a complete 180, and now it's 180 back. Yeah.
Young people have taken the time to figure out what happened, and they understand it in ways that older people don't. I
I'm
feel
glad
more
that
hope when
info is kind of
society
reaching them,
seems
too.
to understand.
The Menendez case preceded the Me Too movement. Society's understanding more about abuse makes more people believe them.
survivors, yeah.
If they were tried today, I think the most they would get is manslaughter.
Yeah, probably.
People were looking.
The only reason we're doing this special is because of the TikTok movement to free the Menendez. If that's how we're going to try cases now, why don't we just have a poll? You present the facts, everybody gets to vote on TikTok, and then we decide who gets to go home. Facts.
I mean, yeah, that's not court
beliefs.
works, but yeah.
And by the way, all you TikTok people, I'm armed. We got guns all over the house, so don't mess with me.
Is that a threat, lady?
And I think it's important that the seriousness of my crime not be minimized or diminished.
That's true as well.
Ultimately, this happened because of me, because I went to him. And then afterwards, let's just be honest, he was arrested because of me.
Yeah,
because I told Dr. Rosie, because I couldn't live with what I did.
They both share their blame, but yeah.
I think I understand a lot of it and what happened to us and why I maybe couldn't find another way out of that weekend. I feel sometimes like I rescued Eric, but did I?
In a way. It was kind of hardship A to hardship B, but yeah.
I couldn't rescue all of us.
Leslie Abramson, Jill Lansing, and Jerome Oziel declined to be interviewed at this documentary. That sucks. I would have liked to hear from all of them. Leslie Abramson stated the following: 30 years is a long time. I'd like to leave the past in the past. Only the courts can do that, and they have ruled. So even Leslie's kind of giving up. That kind of sucks to hear. Lyle and Erik filed a habeas petition seeking to vacate their murder convictions in light of new evidence. The reviewing will make a decision whether it warrants a resentencing or retrial. Yeah. And yeah. So, yep. That's the documentary. So, let's talk about it. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in to my reaction to the Menendez Brothers documentary produced by Netflix. So, basically, we went through the miniseries, the Monsters miniseries. We saw everything dramatized by the actors, and now we kind of hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Interviews with Lyle and Erik from the prison cells, how they feared for their lives about the abuse, and kind of eventually how Lyle finding out about Erik still being abused kind of sparked this plan that they were going to eventually kill them. They kind of had an argument on that Sunday. I believe it was a Sunday, which eventually said, we're doing this now. And they did. They hid out for a while. They, kind of banked on the police believing it was the mafia before all the evidence came out. And, the confession to Dr. Oziel and, talking to him for a while. And Judalon finally spilling the beans after she got dumped by him. And we go through the trial. We go through the first trial, the emotional testimonies of the brothers talking about the abuse, which, we saw that portrayed in the miniseries. It was much more intense watching the real thing. Watching actors be actors, it's great, but when you're actually hearing it right from, the people that actually experienced it, it doesn't compare. And hearing them talk about everything, like how their minds keep going back to that day, and which obviously they caused that day. There's no getting around that, but they realize how much they've changed their lives. They realized, their lives can never be the same again because they did this, and they had their little bit of a party before people realized that they were responsible, and But Erik, just couldn't live with it. He told the doctor, and, one thing led to another, and they ended up going through the trial and ended up being convicted after, the mistrial and then that second trial, which the miniseries actually kind of portrayed in the last episode how kind of stacked against them that second trial was. But the documentary painted a much better picture of that. Like it went into a lot more detail, like how much was not allowed, like how much they couldn't talk about, how many witnesses they couldn't call. Like they were going for the conviction, and it was almost unfair. Like it was unfair. It wasn't almost unfair. I don't understand how the trial could have gone that way. I guess, everyone has a right to a fair trial, and they got a fair trial in the first one. It's just like, okay, they got a fair trial, now let's go with the unfair one. Yeah, it's mind-boggling how they allowed that to happen. Like, then they show the interview with Barbara Walters, which was right before they got separated. They did the interview kind of as an appeal to, like, hope they don't get separated, but eventually they did. And then fast forward to the present where they do finally get reunited after, I think it was 2017, 2018, something like that, where they moved back to the same house and the same floor and whatever, and finally got to be together again. I wish the miniseries had kind of illustrated that too, but the miniseries had very little. Where are they now? It was just still in jail. They still say their parents abused them. I wish they'd done a little more present day in the miniseries, but thankfully we got a little bit of that in the documentary. And I kind of wish we'd heard a little more. I know Leslie, Jill, and Dr. Oziel declined to say anything, which sucks. I would have expected Leslie at least to say something. Like even Jill. Dr. Oziel, I don't know what he's doing these days. I don't know. Maybe he's kind of off the grid. But the statement from Leslie too was kind of disappointing. Like the past is the past, and like they shouldn't have any hope because the courts have already ruled. Yeah, but they did file that motion to potentially be eligible for parole again, and I believe it was just a few months ago, I think, that their sentence was kind of restructured so that they are eligible for parole now. Like obviously they haven't had a parole hearing yet, so they're still in prison right now, but it could be baby steps. It could potentially open things up for the Menendez brothers to be released someday. And I mean, would it be a bad thing if they were let out of jail? I don't know. Like, there's definitely some people in jail that should never get out. Like, if Paul Bernardo ever got out of jail, like, that would be horrible. The Menendez brothers, you think about what they did and why they did it, and it's like, they did what they did for the reason they did. That kind of fulfilled their reason, and, like, what reason do they have to do it again? It's like they killed their parents because their parents were abusing them, their parents were, not great people. What would make them do it again? Probably nothing. They'd be out of prison. They'd probably be, adjusting to life because, you go to prison in your 20s and, you come out in your 50s or 60s or whatever it ends up being. You've gotten used to being in prison for as long as you have, and it's going to be an adjustment being out of prison now. Like just like getting into prison was. But once you adjust, I'm sure they have agencies or whatever to help you with I'm not familiar with being in prison, obviously, but I'm sure they have agencies that would help you, adjust, I guess, once you get out. Like maybe give you some money. They're probably not going to have the Menendez money anymore. That's probably all gone. But, something that would help them adjust. Maybe I don't know how easy it would be for them to get jobs. There's a lot of employers out there who don't want to be the person who hires Lyle or Erik Menendez. But you never know. But Lyle's been doing all that stuff with abuse survivors, and maybe that's something he could do. Like, those are the kind of people that maybe would want to meet with someone like Lyle Menendez, like who experienced it and, experienced it in a very public way. And maybe they he could do, like, while he's out of prison. And Erik, he could sell his art, something like that. Like, there are ways that, they could rejoin society again. It might be rough at the beginning, but, it could be done. Obviously, and they said it too, you can't ignore the severity of their crime. But, they've been in prison for a long time, and, a lot of public opinion is changing again. Like people are starting to realize, men can be abused. And, there's a belief during that second trial, especially, the judge tried to make it irrelevant that they were abused because, they're men. Now it's very well known that men do get abused. And it's like, come on. It's very relevant that they got abused. And it was very not to their advantage that stuff was left out of the second trial, the trial where they were eventually convicted. And the fact that there was no option to convict of manslaughter again, which could have gotten them out, in a few years, maybe 15 at the most. Like, the prosecution were playing, especially in that second trial, the prosecution were playing with a very stacked deck that was basically designed to put these two in jail for the rest of their lives. And it's good that there was finally an adjustment that made them eligible for parole, and maybe we will see them out of jail someday. We'll see. There's probably some people who don't want to see them out of jail, but it's like what are they going to do again? Like, probably no one's going to sell them a gun just to be on the safe side. And, like, who are they going to kill? They killed for a very specific reason. These are not just, like, homicidal maniacs who kill for fun. That's my 2 cents on it. Of course, I don't agree with what they did. It is true that, you know, a lot of people get abused, and those people don't all commit murder. Like, most of the time, if you kill someone, you're going to go to jail unless you have a really good reason, and you're very good at convincing someone that you shouldn't go to jail. So they did go to jail. I think it was pretty much inevitable that they were going to jail for some amount of time. To have it stacked against them, that as far as life without parole goes, it could have been death too. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I think these brothers have paid enough of their crime, and it would not be a terrible thing if they were let out. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching my videos and all of my Menendez videos. It was very good to go down this rabbit hole and, you know, explore this crime. It wasn't a crime I knew a whole lot about before. I knew the basics, basically. To see it all play out, first in the miniseries and then kind of in real life watching the documentary. It was very interesting to go down that road with them. And obviously, they probably shouldn't have murdered their parents, but, you know, they kind of had things stacked against them, and I do wish them the best for their futures. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching the Menendez saga with me, I guess, and thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my sports blogging channel, JordangeVision Sports. And once again, this is Jordan saying you can be productive sitting at home on your couch. All you need is a TV, a great catalog, and a vision. This has been JordangeVision. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for going through this with me. Take care, and bye-bye.